Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Hello Game Day podcast. We're thrilled to be joined by Jack Billings today. Just wanted to give everybody a reminder, like and subscribe wherever you're listening to. Now, Ponch, give the great man a pump up that he deserves.
Yes, he is a teammate of mine through Vic Metro. Very great man. So he's a Scotch boy. I won't hold it against him either because I'm a Skevs boy, but he's Scotch football captain, played to the Oakley Chargers, and he got picked 3 to the 2013 draft to St Kilda. So Jackie boy, give us a big hello game day.
Yeah, g'day, hello game day. Thanks for having me. Very kind, Rich. Nice little pump up. But I've heard great things about the podcast. I think you guys had Wilkes on recently, one of my teammates, and he said some great things. So it's a privilege, really, to be on today.
Well, hopefully we live up to the standard. So, Moosey, I think you're going to start off with a couple of stitch-ups.
I certainly am. Now, this is absolutely rogue for me because I've got no idea if it's true, and they're quite brief with what they've given us. But the first one that I've gotten, and this is something that I can really relate to, because when I was in primary school, I dyed my hair red. I had some red streaks going on, and I haven't lived it down to this day. But apparently you did the same thing. We haven't gotten any mail on what the hairstyle was, but what exactly did you do in terms of dyeing your hair in primary school?
There was a couple of summers there where me and my mate Lukey McDonald, who plays at North Melbourne, we just thought it'd be cool and a bit of fun to put a bit of bleach in our hair and just a bit of blonde. And Luke's actually got a birthmark just above his one of his ears, and so he's got grey hair. So it sort of started from that, and then it sort of became a thing for a few summers there in a row. And I think one year we had to go doing it ourselves and ended up just basically dyeing our whole head blonde. So I remember I copped a lot of stick from all the boys when I got back to school the next year after summer. And obviously being at Scotch and at private school, you've got to come to school looking sharp. And I got told pretty quickly to get a haircut. So got sent home in the first week of school one year. So didn't go down too well. But the boys still let me know about it. But I think back in the mid 2000s, I reckon it was a bit of a thing, like the tips. Like even I remember
after the American Pie movies.
Yeah, even like there's a lot of AFL players I remember. As a kid, you sort of looked up to, and they all had it. So I sort of thought, why not?
Bit of a shame why I these
days. Yeah, I used to love Brett Ratten. I remember he repped it very well.
Yeah, well, I didn't rep it so well. I recently had to get my hair dyed by Ponch because I lost a tipping competition, and he dyed my hair and it went fully ginger. So I can relate. Now, the next one I've got for you is that you had a basketball team called the Bitties. Is there any story behind how this name came to be?
Oh, yeah. It's a bit embarrassing now, but again, when a group of us at school were a bit younger, sort of early days of high school, sort of year 7 and 8, we sort of at that age where you start hanging out with girls on the weekend from other schools, and sort of all during the week, that's what you sort of talk about together, going to parties and all that sort of thing, and that we had a group of girls that we used to hang out with a lot, and they used to come to our footy games on the weekend, and we thought we were pretty good. And anyway, one thing led to another, and we wanted to create a basketball team, and we think of a name, and can't remember who came up with it, but like we go all right with the biddies, as in with the ladies, with the girls. Or at least we thought we did when we were 13 or 14 years old, but we thought we were pretty good, and we're like, why don't we just call ourselves the Bitties? And we said, all right, if we're going to do that, we're going to have to get all the Bitties to our game. So it was quite funny. Like, we were running around most Saturdays, and we had 20 to 25 of our, girlfriends there, and sitting on the sidelines cheering us on. So
I'm sure not much has changed. Are they still coming to the games today, or?
Nah. They've
given up on you
a bit since then.
Well, to be fair, I wouldn't mind having a reception like that. I'd be lucky to get one girl watch me do any sport. Another one now. You've been a professional ever since I've known you, and it was probably mainly through the under 18-year-old year. You're a professional man. You do everything the right way up into having your first beer. You didn't have your first beer until you're 18 years old. And can you tell us how well that went down?
Yeah. Like you said, I didn't drink till I was 18. I think it was after I got drafted. Sort of when I was growing up through high school and that, I just sort of really wanted to get drafted and focus on footy. And I just sort of decided it was more a little goal, to be honest. I just thought I'm not going to drink. I think originally it was till I'm 18, but then in like year 12, like so busy with footy and all that, I just thought, I'll just wait till I get drafted. So it was almost like a bit of a reward. I think I had it in my head, but I still went to all the parties and had to learn how to hit the D4 sober, which was interesting. So all those sort of things, obviously, I didn't miss out on. So I wasn't boring or anything like that. But yeah, I just decided that I'd wait, and then when I first had that beer, I think I was with obviously Lukey Mack, who I'm sure has given you all the dirt on me.
Yeah.
I was with him and just my old man at my place, and Dad loves an old green demon, so I just had a VB. So it was very good. But I guess the rest was history. But yeah, it was pretty funny.
And a funny one was, I was just thinking about that before. Around the same time, we would have been at Connor's end of Christmas party, the management party.
That was the night.
Yeah, and I vividly remember him giving you a drink, and it was one of your first drinks you ever had, and he got you a vodka lime soda, and he had it back in his face after one sip. And I even looked at him like, "You're gonna get anything, get a raspberry vodka or something delicious."
Exactly.
Yeah.
I remember that.
Yeah, you've been stitched up.
I only had about 2 or 3, and I was on the ground.
Yeah, I think I was Lukey Mack was telling me to put daiquiris into my beer, and it actually was the most delicious thing ever. So I'll give him a pump up with that one. We'll get off the beer.
Bit of mixing.
Yeah. And then the last stitch up we got, mate, and I don't know how this kind of all works, but apparently you had the opportunity to get any car that you wanted, and you've ended up choosing a tiny Toyota Rav4. So talk us through that.
That's not true. I wish I could have been in that position. I don't know. I just loved I love the Rav4s when I first turned 18. So I just had my heart set on a second-hand, nice Toyota Rav4 that I was lucky enough to get. And then it's funny, as the years have gone on, since then I've had my next car after that was, I think my next 2 cars after that were just the latest Rav4, and obviously at the club the boys fucking get stuck into me. Oh, sorry, I shouldn't be swearing.
That's all right. It's a chill podcast. You can swear as much as you like.
Okay, that's good. But yeah, they sort of running gag. There's a few in the Rav4 club at the club, so I was sort of the leader of that for a while, but I've since moved on. But shout out to the Toyota Rav4s, and especially down at Richardson Toyota. If you're looking for a new car, head down there.
Huge. We're getting advertisements on the podcast. Are you still running the Rav4? And what's it like when everyone rolls in? Because I know when the boys were on the Gold Coast, there was a bit of competition. Someone would roll in with some nice wheels. And the next week, someone would want to beat it with like a Mercedes or something that's louder. Do you have a bit of that at the club?
Yeah. One of my old teammates, Dave Armitage, he was a big culprit. I remember when I first got to the club, I was like, he was rolling around in a Porsche or something, and he was just, I thought he was the biggest rock star. Had the aviators on, like this big black Porsche, and like I quickly realised he loved all that sort of stuff. But yeah, there's a few others like Joshy Battles rolling around in a Merc now, and after a couple of good years. So yeah, but I've since left the Rav4 and got a Hilux now, so they're great cars too.
All sturdy cars. Now we'll get into some of the footy chat, and I'll start off with your juniors. And you obviously played with Lukey Mack, and we've touched on how you guys are really good mates and you've got a strong connection with each other. As juniors, did you find that you became a lot better Not specifically deliberately in the sense that you're pushing each other, but it just kind of manifested that way by being on the same team?
Yeah, I think so. Like we were really lucky. We grew up together, and probably the only thing we didn't do together was go to school. But we went to different schools. He was at Trinity, so it was probably most days after school would hang out and kick the footy and stuff, and then we'd play like footy, cricket, basketball. Together growing up in all the teams. So that was good. And yeah, like you said, we're probably two of the better players in our footy side. So we probably just that natural competitiveness that everyone has when they play sport was always there between us. But at the same time, like I assume he was the same. But you just wanted each other to do really well, and at the same time just push each other along. And he was, as you know, Rich, he was a very good junior, Lukey Mack, and a great player now. So, seeing him do well was always inspiring for me.
Absolutely. I love Lukey Mack, and obviously got to know you boys through Vic Metro, and hopefully we'll get him on in the future episodes on the podcast so everyone can see a bit more of his character, because he is an absolute character. He's one of the funnier blokes back in the Metro days.
I'll have to give you some stuff on him as well.
Oh, 100%. I'll be pulling from everywhere and absolutely ripping the shreds out of it.
That'll be a good episode.
Yeah, man, absolutely. It'll be one of the better ones for sure. Another one I like to ask as well is, with the higher draft prospects, was there any kind of breakout games or moments where you realised that AFL could be a genuine career?
When I was like a teenager, like younger.
Yeah. So any moments for your juniors, or was it a Scott game or a rep game?
Yeah, I think probably under 16s played in the national carnival for Vic Metro, and from that championship there was an AIS squad, AFL Academy squad that was picked following that, and I think it was like 30 of the best players for the age group. And it wasn't until I was lucky enough to make that I thought I was a genuine chance to get drafted and hopefully play AFL. But I guess, as a kid along the way, you just always hope that you can get there. And, it's probably not till you play in those rep teams that you can still, make an impact and have some good games that you sort of start to believe that you might be good enough. But that was probably the time when I really thought I was a good shot at it. Yeah,
absolutely. And in 2012, at the end of your bottom age season, which means your 17-year-old season for people who don't know the terminology, you're one of the very strong contenders in the AFL mini draft, where they select the top 2 17-year-old players. And I think there was about six underage All-Australians that year. How close were you actually to be going in that draft? And did you speak to Melbourne or Gold Coast?
It was funny because I think the rule was you had to be born in the first 4 months of the year. And I'm born in August, so I actually wasn't eligible. That 17 year, it sort of in a way, it probably was helped me, because there was no pressure or media talk about it, because I wasn't eligible for it. It was never spoken about, so I always knew that I had to wait the year after, so it might have helped me. But I remember at the time, I think it ended up being Jack Martin and Jesse Hogan, but it was like Josh Kelly as well. So it was, there was a fair few handy players that I was able to play with as well.
Absolutely, yeah. I just remember in year 11, when all the boys were talking about it, I hadn't personally met you, but we heard a lot about you, and I thought you were probably one of the contenders. And also, I'm a little bit filthy you didn't go in the mini draft, because the year after, when Kevin's played Scotch, you've turned it on and kicked 3 goals, captaining them to the victory. So, and you've squashed any chance of us getting a 3-peat in the APS. So that personally hurt me a little bit. But moving on.
Mate.
Yeah, it hurts, but it's what it is. I'll forgive you. Moving on.
How good was school footy, just quietly?
Oh, mate, that's one of the things I
still miss it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's one of the things I'd love to speak to a lot more of the players about, the camaraderie, because I think playing at a higher level, even though I didn't get to the heights where you boys are, you play with people who are playing for their career and the stats, and whereas on the weekend you run out and it's just with a bunch of brothers, and when you win and you sing the song afterwards, and I don't know, it's just a different feeling.
It's unreal.
Yeah. No, absolutely.
It's so good.
But yeah, moving on to then getting drafted at pick 3 to St Kilda in the 2013 draft. The first 3 seasons you play, you have a majority of games that are slightly hindered by injuries. And then you clearly have a significant change by the start of the 2017 season, where you haven't really missed a beat playing every senior game up until now. Was there anything that you implemented specifically on or off the field or with your training habits to see such success?
Yeah, it's a good question. Yeah, probably those first 3 years I found really challenging when I got into the AFL. Obviously, my first year we won the wooden spoon, and those sort of first few years we weren't great at all. And probably coming into the AFL, I was a bit naive about exactly what it was going to be like in terms of how hard the game is, and it's just so up and down. Depending on how the team's going, it's a roller coaster, and it's a real challenge. And on top of that, I had a few injuries. In my second year, I had a stress fracture. I broke my tibia, so I missed the second half of the year, and that was really tough because I never missed that much footy before. But so it was a little bit of everything. So I really learned how to look after my body, and probably took my recovery and nutrition to sort of new levels in those first few years. And just I suppose I was fortunate I got to have those experiences when I was really young, so I could learn good habits. But then probably at the end of my third year, I sort of probably just sort of realised, and was probably super honest with myself, that I need to lift my game, I guess. And I trained really hard over that off season in particular. And each off season AFL players, they get their training program and off season program that they've got to do. And I just thought, if this is you do your program, but if that's what everyone is going to do in the competition to stay fit, and so they're ready to go when they come back in November, then I'm going to be the same as everyone else. So I'm like, if I want to improve and get ahead, I've got to do more. So did a lot of boxing at our boxing coach for the club. I sort of started to see a couple of times a week for about 8 weeks in the off season, and sort of kept seeing him over summer. And it really helped me. And I just really improved. And so that next year I was able to be injury free, and just got heaps of continuity with my body, obviously playing every game. And I guess it just sort of flowed from there. You get more confidence, more consistent week to week. So there's some good lessons that I got from it. But that's about it.
No, absolutely. It definitely shows. And even now you're coming into such great form, which is personally so exciting for me to see. Now, I did lie, though, in that one bit saying that you've played every game up until now. There was one game where you got dropped, and you probably know what I'm talking about. In 2018, and you've got 53 disposals in a VFL game. So can you talk us through that game?
Yeah, it's interesting. Like, people ask me about it a little bit. I mean, 2018, that was a tough year as well. I think it was about the middle of the year, and we won our first game, round 1 that year, and then we lost the next 10. And I wasn't going great to what I was expecting of myself and what the coach and the team wanted. So I went back, and it was a weird one. Like, I look back on it in a really good way. Not the fact that I got dropped and played VFL for a week. I was just like, that was actually such an enjoyable experience. I remember we played on the Saturday night against Sydney, and then I was playing for Sandy on the Sunday. So obviously I was on the couch watching the night before I played, and we lost by about 70 points, and that was really hard being at home. But then I was pretty hungry obviously the next day to come out and I guess sort of not prove the coach wrong, but just sort of make a statement. And I thought I wasn't going great, but I thought I still was contributing. But it was just really good to have, as you guys know who have played, when you have those sort of days, it was, it's just a good experience, and we had a really big win, and I actually really loved it. And then I was able to come back in and go from there.
Absolutely, mate. And you've probably single-handedly ruined this poor VFL player's career. He's probably had nightmares ever since. And then moving on to, you were there for Alan Richardson's whole coaching career at St Kilda. What were the personal emotions finding out that he'd no longer be head coach?
Yeah, it was a weird one because obviously there'd been a fair bit of media talk about it and pressure on him for a number of weeks and that sort of thing. And then I think last year we played Geelong down there, which is always a tough ask. But we actually played all right. I think we only lost by a couple of goals, and it was on that Monday where he sort of made his decision that he'd step aside, and I was probably surprised because we had our review on the Monday and it was quite positive. And then I think it was a Tuesday morning he pulled the leaders in for our leadership meeting, and it was just him and all the players. And then it was sort of it was pretty emotional and just basically told us. And so I was a little bit shocked of the timing of it. But being my only coach I'd had in my 6th year, it was all new and different experience. So it was just it was crazy. And then obviously he was a forwards coach last year, and he sort of took over straight away and did a really good job, and was lucky enough to get the full-time gig at the end of the year. But it was a bit of an interesting experience.
Yeah, absolutely. And I feel like if you guys had a full healthy list throughout the year, things might be different. But as a bloke from the outside looking in on Richo's coaching career, he seemed to be loved by everyone. And that obviously is affirmed by what you said, talking about him then. And another one is he's obviously, you could get a bit grumpy in the media, and he's a bit fierce. Were there any sprays that you came across, or are there any almighty sprays that you could let us in on that he's let rip on?
Is this Richo?
Yeah.
There was a few over his time. He's like you said, he's a great guy. Really good fellow. I think back he used to play at Collingwood. I think in his Collingwood days, everyone called him Citizen. Like that was his nickname. He's such a good citizen, just a great person. It probably wasn't his nature to really fire up and give someone a big bake. But there were a few times where he absolutely gave it to blokes. But I think I'm just thinking now, there was this one game we played up in Sydney at the SCG one day, and it was a bit slippery underfoot, and came in at quarter time and blokes were slipping over, and Dave Armitage had slipped a fair few times, and he just brought everyone in, and he just went to town on Armo. Oh, it was pretty funny, but at the same time, you're like, geez, I've slipped over a couple of times as well. But he's just sort of like, Armo. He's like, any danger of you keeping your feet, you either either need to change your boots, or you're just fat, and he used a few other words. He's like, you're just fat and lazy. He's like, it's not good enough. And it was obviously a lot more colourful than that, but it was very funny.
Oh, he's absolutely let rip on the old rock star. Yeah. So unfortunate there.
But it's interesting. This year with the I think it was Quainer from Collingwood with the horrific injury with the boot stud to his leg that you can't wear metal studs now. And Richo used to always be big on especially into state trips. You got to take a second pair of boots, metal studs. You don't know if it's raining. But most of the boys didn't like wearing them anyway. So I'll just cop the spray and cop slipping over. So but I don't think you can wear them now. So there might be a few more coming.
Are they doing the old under 10s checking your boots, or what's the regulation? Because they obviously have to change something.
The old under 10s.
No, they don't check them. I think it's more just just an acknowledgement that surely everyone just wears the molds now. So
Yeah, it was a pretty horrific injury. But moving on to now being in the hub life, and obviously this year, how have you personally adapted to the hub life in Noosa?
Yeah, it's been a crazy year for everyone. It's been good. Being good up here. It's obviously we're pretty lucky to be Noosa. A lot of other clubs are sort of spread out along sort of Gold Coast, Maroochydore, and some of them are at the same facility. So we've been lucky to have the resort to ourselves, which has been really good. And probably when we left, it was originally only, I think it was for 5 weeks for 32 days. So sort of packed up and got up here pretty quick and didn't think too much about it. And I think it was a couple of weeks in, found out that we're going to be up here for the rest of the year, and initially it was just like, you sort of just had to mentally get your head around it. It's probably hardest for me personally, for Sarah, my partner, just sort of knowing that she potentially wasn't going to see me for a while, and we've had a pretty good year, so we kept winning. So hopefully it means finals, so even longer. But luckily with her work, she's actually coming up. There's another hub. They fly up tomorrow, actually, so she'll be here in a couple of weeks, which will be good. So yeah, it's been good, and I think the main thing for us, we spoke about sort of culture and that sort of thing at the start of the year, and our connection with each other. We've got a pretty new team, a lot of new players come in, so connection's been something we've spoken about a fair bit, and sort of what's transpired this year has sort of been perfect for getting to know each other more. So being stuck up here and sort of being in this footy bubble the whole time, and living with each other, it's sort of fast tracked that sort of connection with each other. So that's been a big positive. And for me personally, just spending a lot more time with a lot of the younger guys like Maxie King, Nick Caulfield, these sort of guys who really started to grow some strong relationships with. It's been really exciting. So I've enjoyed that part of it. And sort of on the days off, we try and play a bit of golf and get down the beach, because you need that balance as well. So it's just finding other things to do as much as you can.
Absolutely, mate. And from the outset, it seems like, you've got other clubs who have families and they've got a bit more ties, and they've been a bit more all over the shop. So like you said, it has worked well in your favour. And even when we were interviewing Wilkes, I'm pretty sure we could hear Duhout in the background going off while he was playing a bit of FIFA. So It sounds like you boys are making the most of it. And my last question before I flick it to Moosey, the excitement of this year's team and the game style must be so rewarding to finally be in a position where you can play your first game of finals in nearly 7 years at the top level. So, like, personally for you who's been at the club, you must be pretty excited that, fingers crossed, you are playing finals this year.
Yeah, absolutely. Like you said, this is my 7th year and haven't played in the final yet. So, it's been great to see the way we've sort of been able to play this year, and I've even had a lot of comments from mates or whoever back home saying that we've really loved watching you guys, as in the Saints, play this year. You've been really good to watch because you're scoring more, you're playing an exciting brand. So that's probably been the most pleasing thing for me, and just a lot more contributors on game day, which you need if you want to be a good side. And look at our team; we've just got a really good even spread of players just playing their role, and starting to realise that that's what all the good teams do. They just got a lot of guys that just play their role for the side. So that's been really good. And obviously our disappointing loss on the weekend against the Deeds, we sort of spoke about today, but it was interesting. It was a really flat vibe after the game, and it almost felt like our season was almost over, but it was good we sort of spoke about it today, and just, we realised that there's still 3 games to go and we're in the 8. So, think of the opportunity that's ahead of us. And for me personally, like, after having that chat, it really, got me back up and realised, this is what we play for, to get that chance in the finals. Because once you get there, it's anyone's chance to win it. So the next 3 weeks are huge, like you said. So hopefully, we can perform and win enough games.
That's an awesome insight. And you guys have got so many exciting players, and I can see why you guys are absolutely buzzing around the club at the moment. And your on-field talent is abundantly clear. But what I'm really interested about you is your off-field talent and your leadership credentials as well, being a Scotch College captain. How conscious are you about the way that you interact with young players coming into the club in order to build that culture? And do you see yourself as a leader in the future?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think, like, just going on the leadership question, I think for me, like, just as the years have gone on being at the club, you sort of learn off different guys. And I was fortunate enough to have a year with Lenny Hayes, and obviously Nick Rewalt was captain for my first 4 years, and then Jaron Geary, different leader, but an outstanding leader again. So having those guys to really learn off and watch and see how they go about things was massive for me. But at the same time, at the end of the day, I really sort of realised that, like, you just got to be yourself, and leadership's about not trying to be anyone else, just being yourself. And for me, I think I've just sort of always led by example. And from a footy point of view, I just love the game and love playing with my teammates. So I think that was the main thing that I've always tried to do, just be myself and just try to grow and learn as much as I can. And then sort of at going back to school, I was sort of similar to that. And then just dealing with young guys now, you just realise, you don't have to be best mates with everyone. You're not going to be best mates with 45 guys in the group, but it's just about having little connections and building those relationships and not trying to force them, because it takes time, and just being really natural and just seeing what you got in common with guys and just getting to know them both from a footy point of view, then off the field, so you can see what makes them tick and try and get the best out of them. So they're probably the main ones. And then I do a bit of uni as well outside of footy, which has really helped me. I'm doing a management course, so I've learned a fair bit of that as well. So it's all been good.
You've actually just almost answered 4 questions that I've got on my list here, but I'm gonna sort of. No, it's good. It's perfect. I think it's kind of a good segue. But you mentioned about Rui and Lenny Hayes before. I was going to say, is there one person that you can kind of put your finger on as somebody who's been like a really influential leader, or someone who's like a mentor to you?
A teammate?
A teammate or a staff member or faculty member around the club, or anybody?
I'll probably say probably Gears. So Jaron Geary, the current skipper at the moment. It's his 200th as well this week. So big shout out to Gears. Probably. I'm really good mates with him first and foremost. So I think when I first got to the club, we went to America. We went to Colorado for a 3-week training camp. It was back when the altitude camps were a thing. And I roomed with him. So I think I got drafted on the Thursday or Friday, and I flew out on the Monday. So it was meeting all the boys at the airport as we were going to the US. So it all happened pretty quick, but I roomed with him, and we just got along straight away, and he sort of took me under his wing. And he's sort of been one more from a leadership point of view over the years. It's has really helped me, but also challenged me to be better and bounce ideas off. And I love running out with him as well. So I'm pretty excited for the weekend, and hopefully we can win on Sunday for him. So I'll probably say Gears.
Massive shout out to Gears, and maybe he'll go forward and boot another 4. I think he booted 4 earlier in the season, or maybe it was 2.
Yeah, get off the chain.
Yeah, exactly.
As that defensive forward.
Yeah, exactly. Now, my next question was, who are your best mates at the club? Do you have any other guys who you could say the guys that you really click with?
Yeah. There's a few. Jack Sinclair, who went to Scotch as well. And, he sort of grew up with, like I spoke about before, me and Luke. So I've known him since I was 4 or 5 years old. So it's been great to share the journey with him along the way. So he'd be one. My housemate, Benny Patton, who lives with me. Obviously, we're close mates. He's lived with me for 3 years. Then Sebi Ross, Tim Membry, Josh Battle. There's a fair few that tend to knock around with. Yeah,
well, next time you see Josh Battle, you can let him know that he's been useless with getting back to me about coming on the podcast as well, because he's a mate of mine, and I've asked him 3 times now, and he keeps saying, yeah, I'll come on, and then he's just useless with it. So you can give him a slap around the chops for me if you don't mind.
I will. It's actually his birthday tomorrow. So
is it?
Yeah, maybe you can send him a message and
I certainly will. Thanks
drop
for
a line about it as well. But I'll give him that feedback.
Yeah, please do. Now
you might have a reply pretty soon.
Yeah, hopefully.
You guys should really get him on, because he's an absolute character.
He is. He's a great man.
He'd be very funny.
I need to ask him about some of his Bali trip escapades.
Oh, he loves Bali. We all call him the king of Bali.
Yeah, he loves it. Absolutely loves it. Now, what do you like to do when you go traveling? Is that something? Do you like to go with the boys, or do you just go with the missus?
Yeah, love traveling in the off season. I've been with my partner Sarah for coming on 3 years now. So the last couple of years, done the old Miso trip. It's been good. But in my first years, a couple of trips to Europe, which was awesome. I think we went to Bali one year and Cancun, the States as well. So I love traveling. Obviously with as an AFL player, you sort of only get those 2 months a year where you can sort of get away. So every year, try and make the most of it, and try and go and see the world. Different times though now.
Yeah, exactly. I feel like it kind of does work out well that you guys get that time to go away, but unfortunately, it's always the same season every year. So if it's winter, so you miss out on a European summer,
Yeah, that's probably the one thing. You always think about, June, July every year. You see all your friends enjoying the European summer, which you can't do. But I'm sure down the track after footy at some stage, I'll definitely want to go and enjoy one.
Hopefully, there's a pandemic
in Europe.
Oh yeah, so I was saying, is there anything in particular that you see that you're missing out on at the minute that you wish you could do while the footy season's on?
Just in general, because of COVID.
Oh, just in general, you see everyone else doing travels.
Yeah, that's probably the main one. Just being able to, I reckon that'd be unreal, going to Greece and stuff at the summertime over there. Then probably just the other one is going out and having beers with mates. You can still do it at times, but just sort of having that luxury to do it frequently most weekends. You don't get that, but that's obviously just part of it. So that's probably the other thing you sort of miss.
Yeah, and you were involved in a YouTube series that I saw today. They're called Draft Days, when you were getting drafted. And I was wondering if you've gone back and watched that at all, and if you feel like you've changed or your perspectives on things have changed since then much.
No, I haven't watched it. I hate the sound of my own voice, so definitely won't watch it back. But yeah, I remember doing. Of course. I remember doing it, and it was good fun with Lukey Mack and Benny Lennon. I think I was obviously 18 then, so I'd like to think I've changed a fair bit and matured and grown up and all that sort of stuff. So maybe I will actually have a look back.
Give it a watch, because there's some great footage of you marking the ball in the middle of the ground and kicking it to Almac in an under-13s grand final was it Q that you played for?
Yeah, Q Comets. Yeah,
Q Comets, and then Almac just bangs one from 50, if you don't mind, in an under-13s grand final.
Yeah, that's right. He was a man child back then.
Yeah, he did look like a big.
He's one of those kids growing up who hit puberty really early and just grew really early. So he's a head tall. There was a couple of years where he was a head taller than everyone. And then we all started to slowly catch up to him.
Yeah, you can tell by the video now. Is there something that you could say that you have a passion outside of footy? You mentioned you were doing a management course before. Do you reckon you'll stay in the footy industry, or do you reckon you'll pursue something more in business when you're done?
Yeah, it's a good question. Hopefully it's a few years away, so don't have to make a decision anytime soon. But I'm loving the uni stuff. So I'm doing a Bachelor of Business, majoring in management, and I like that sort of side of things when it comes to business. So potentially something down that track. And then I'm not sure about coaching and things like that. I know there's coaching courses you can do. So maybe in the next few years I might have a crack at that and just see how I go. The coding sort of turns me off coaching a fair bit in terms of reviewing games, and they have a lot of meetings. And that coding for your players takes 4 to 5 hours every week.
I have no idea what coding is. What is that?
So it's basically just reviewing the game, on your computer, but you cut up edits for your players and or your meetings and things like that as assistant coaches and things like that, and it takes a long time.
That's what they call the vision, I guess.
Yeah, vision. So that's not
you
that.
sound like an 80-year-old man saying that, Moose.
It goes to show how much I know about like the inner workings of a football club. I never was very talented myself. More of a pundit. Now, there's one more thing I wanted to cover with you. If it's okay with you, I wanted to touch on Spud Frawley really quickly, because obviously it was an incredibly tragic thing for the AFL world, for everybody involved, and particularly for St Kilda, because you guys were obviously close to him and he was such an integral part of the club and for the community, and always flying the flag for you guys as well. You know, I was just sort of wanted to gauge the reaction of the St Kilda Footy Club and players and coaches when that happened.
Yeah, I mean, it was really tough. Spud was just a larger than life character, and he was assistant coach. Worked a lot with the backs, the key backs, obviously, because he was an amazing defender at the Saints through his career. So, helped a lot of those guys over the 4 years he was sort of at the club, and he's just amazing person. Like, always up for a joke and a laugh, and just from a St Kilda point of view and from our club, like, just his passion for the jumper and the club, and it's speak about before connection. Captain of the club, that was probably his greatest strength. Just getting all the guys together. That just the importance of that club feeling. Bringing everyone together and enjoying each other's company. He was number one at that, and obviously we miss him a lot, and hopefully we can do him proud one day and hold up the cup, because he definitely deserves one. So
Would you say that that's a real legacy, that sort of camaraderie that he would have left at St Kilda?
Yeah, and just like I spoke, just his passion for the club and just for footy. It was just unmatched, and he was just a great guy.
Yeah. He just seems awesome. Like, he just seemed larger than life, and obviously never got to meet him or anything. But, when you see somebody like that and you realize how much they were suffering, like, I feel personally, it changes my perspective on the conversation around mental health, and, that it can happen to anyone.
Yeah, definitely. And, Spud himself, he was big on it. He said, basically, it's strong and tough to say that you're not okay. And, I think years gone by, and, Spud used to speak about it, like the old days, sort of, especially as males, if you're going through stuff and going through mental challenges and mental health things, it was just about keeping it in and not speaking to anyone about it, because you didn't want to show weakness or anything like that. But Spud was big on saying, it's basically the opposite, and it's, just having one conversation with someone can make such a big difference. And people have so much support around them with friends and family that, there's people there to help. So it's really important, and grows relationships and connections even more.
Yeah, beautifully said, mate. Beautifully said, and I couldn't agree more. And thank you so much for letting us in. That's obviously a sensitive topic for you. That's all I've got for you, brother. I just wanted to say thank you so much, JB. It's been an awesome conversation. I've really, really loved it.
No worries, guys.
Awesome, man.
Really appreciate it.
Once again, mate, like, it's great to see one of the 2013 boys just absolutely killing it. And seriously, I hope that you guys will make finals, and I'll be rooting for you. And hopefully, you get a bit of success out of what's been such a pretty weird and unusual year, mate. But once again, thank you so much for coming on. This has been an absolute ripping episode.
No worries. Thanks a lot. Thanks for inviting me on. Really appreciate it. Great. Podcast is flying. Just quickly, how are you going, Rich? What have you been up to?
Personally, was in Canada, and are we still going to keep rolling, Moosey? Do we want
absolutely,
this
mate? All right, everyone wants to know.
Oh, what's been
I'm the host now.
Here we go. Real briefly, I tried a bit of footy up in Gold Coast. Moved up after Tukey got drafted up there. Didn't do too well. Kind of after the draft year, it kind of stung a little bit when I didn't get picked up. I probably didn't really bounce back the way I should have, and there was a lack of professionalism on my end. And then played a bit of footy locally, and that brought my passion back with the Palm Beach Currumbin team up in the Gold Coast. And I love footy again, and it's because of that team and the group we've got up there. And then I moved to Canada because after a few years on the Gold Coast, the boys are killing it. That I was living with 2 Meter Peter and Turkey, and I thought, what could I do that they can't? And I lived in Canada for a couple of years, did a bit of snowboarding, drank way too many beers. I came back probably 10 kilos overweight, and I don't even put on weight ever. So that's a rarity. But now I'm back in Melbourne, mate, and just loving it. Happy to be back and seeing family. So it's been a different 5 years to probably what a lot of other people doing, like uni and stuff. But I've been pretty wrapped that nothing's held me back from doing all those things and kind of figuring out who I am. So yeah, that's been me, mate.
That's awesome. So did you work over in Canada?
Yeah. So when I went over there, a funny story. I first got a job over there working as you kind of help clean rooms and like help the housekeepers cleaning over there. And you live at this resort at the bottom of the hill. And then funnily enough, probably no one's surprised about this, but I got kicked out of the resort after a couple of months. through some antics that I can't tell on the podcast.
Causing trouble.
And basically, this was the life lesson I was kind of alluding to before. I got kicked out and stupidly only had about $800 left. And over a weekend, I thought I'd find a job. I'd be sweet. I'd Coachella in a month and a half's time. I was down to my last $200, and I was a day away from being homeless in Toronto City when it was negative 10 degrees, and I was prepared to eat at homeless stations and just tough it out for a week until I finally had to go, all right, I need help. And at the very last minute, I somehow wound up on a political campaign working for this lady and rallying on the phones. And that miraculously kept a roof over my head and got me to Coachella about a month later. And yeah, the funny thing was
we didn't get elected.
We lost by 0.5% of a vote. And after that, I did food delivery on a bicycle for 23 days in the freezing cold. And it was one of the worst jobs I've ever done in my life, but I appreciate work and everything now. So I've done, once we get off, I'll share a few more stories with you if you've got time. But yeah, mate, I've done some stupid things, but I've definitely learned.
Yeah. All right. I should be interviewing you, mate.
Nobody wants to listen about me and
that's great.
But mate, we'll officially end the episode here. And once again, mate, thank you very much for coming on.
That was our episode with Jack Billings and Richie. Thank you very much, Jack Billings, ladies and gentlemen.